Welcome back to Europe Winter Championship. My name is Naiman. I'm here with Raven and Brian Kibler at the desk. And the second semi-final is about to start. BunnyHoppor versus Naiman. Guys, who do you think is going to take this one?
Oh, this is going to be a really tough one. I think Naiman's been playing so well over the weekend, it's difficult not to say he's got a really strong advantage here. But as we saw from the one of the earlier sets, BunnyHoppor versus Diggen, he played really solid throughout the whole set. And he said from the first day to today, he's feeling much better. He's probably calmed his nerves a lot more. He's just taking a much more methodical approach to the game.
I actually don't think this is a tough decision for me. I think Naiman has a big edge here. Not only is he the most well-known player coming into this, his lineup is built to beat exactly what BunnyHoppor is playing.
So what are the key things coming into the lineups? What is the ban that he is expecting to have?
I think he's probably expecting perhaps his mage to be banned in this particular matchup, simply because the freeze mage is so strong against so many of BunnyHoppor's decks. His entire lineup is built to beat decks like Secret Paladin, decks like the Warlock of Zoo, and those are clearly features of BunnyHoppor's lineup. He's been playing Secret Paladin, playing the more aggressive Paladin. Yeah. It might change that dynamic a little bit, so there's definitely some question marks there.
Yeah, I think one of the key things is, though, especially with the Hunter versus the Paladin, the game pretty much goes the same way a lot of the time. You still have those big blowout turns of Unleash the Hounds or even Explosive Trap as well.
All right, and we also want to remind you guys that we'll be unveiling Legendary Minion from Old God set after this match, so stay tuned for that as well. That card might be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some new stuff. We've definitely seen some awesome stuff so far, and more is better.
So who do you guys think will win, BunnyHoppor or Naiman? Let us know on social media, #BunnyHoppor or #Naiman to see who do you support. Send your energy and let us know exactly. And guys, you have clear favorites, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would like BunnyHoppor to take it, but I just think Naiman's going to.
And how does this Paladin, the aggressive Paladin, going to fare overall versus Naiman's lineup?
Well, interestingly, I don't think we've actually even seen Naiman's Warrior deck. We've seen his other decks played so far, and if that Warrior deck is patient, it would make a lot of sense given the rest of the dynamic of his lineup. That's also quite strong against all of BunnyHoppor's decks. So really the dynamic is that, as I mentioned before, Naiman's lineup is literally just built to beat pretty much exactly what BunnyHoppor's playing.
Talking about Naiman, by the way, the players are ready. So the first player to join this second semi-final will be Naiman.
Naiman hailing from Kazakhstan, as you mentioned before, the most sort of well-known player coming into this event. Many of the other players expressed they did not want to face him, and well, BunnyHoppor's going to have to do just that right now.
Absolutely, a very strong player. And the redemption story, it's also something I really enjoy myself. He's trying to get some money for the wedding, and his fiancée, I'm sure, is watching him right now and with fingers crossed.
Yeah, as a recently married man, I can respect that. I understand how that goes.
Absolutely. And the second player is BunnyHoppor.
So we have BunnyHoppor, the German. He's just come off a win against one of his friends, Diggen, and I have no doubt straight after that they were already discussing what his grand plan was against Naiman. It is going to be difficult, though, as in Conquest you have to win with all of your classes, and I really feel his Paladin's going to struggle in this matchup.
Yeah, as Paladin, which has been quite strong for him in many of the other matchups against decks like Secret Paladin, is going to be facing decks that are much stronger against it. Things like that Freeze Mage, things like the Hunter, and even the mid-range Paladin. So many of the Paladins we've seen in this event have been Secret Paladin, all of them in fact, except for Naiman, who's bringing that really kind of off-the-wall mid-range Paladin. It's weird to call mid-range Paladin the off-the-wall deck.
Such a crazy deck. What's going on?
Oh my god, mid-range Paladin is so weird.
We haven't seen even that many cards from this mid-range Paladin, but we can guess there is double Aldor Peacekeeper, probably, right? We've seen Tyrion, we've seen Dr. Boom, but sometimes he was getting hands that were similar to Secret Paladin or Aggro Paladin, like really good opening curve.
Yeah, it looks like his deck is really focused on that early game, trying to put a lot of pressure on his opponent's minions with things like the mini-bots, the Zombie Chow, Haunted Creeper, getting that strong early game to just really oppress opponent's ability to deal minion damage.
Absolutely. Let's see what you guys think. You voted for the players, and looking at the poll results...
Wow.
Whoa, that's...
Yep.
Looks like Naiman is in the lead here. BunnyHoppor, you just explained that Naiman is in the lead overall lineup-wise, but what does BunnyHoppor have to do, Raven, to win this?
I think the key is just going to be this Paladin deck. I know we've harped on about it a little bit, but I don't even know what matchup he particularly wants with that Paladin deck to try and run into, but whatever it is, he just needs to take an early win, get that out of the way, then focus on some of the more even matchups.
Yeah, I think that deck will certainly struggle given the context. It's possible that deck could line up all right against Naiman's Paladin deck. We have seen the aggro Paladin go sort of under the Secret Paladin decks. And the mid-range Paladin is kind of similar, except, as we mentioned, Naiman's deck has so many of those cheap minions. Zombie Chow is pretty good against an aggressively oriented Paladin deck.
Absolutely. And we now know the bans, so the Warriors are being banned for both players. We will not see the Warrior from Naiman.
Are we ever going to see a Warrior deck? I don't think we have yet.
Hopefully, maybe in the final.
I'd love it with something really crazy as well, like something completely off the Face Warrior.
And
we just never got the chance. We just never got the chance to see
playing Pirates. You never gave me the opportunity to play.
Come on.
So what does it mean that the Warrior is being banned? Was it bad for Naiman? Like both players banned Warrior at the time.
My guess is that he's anticipating this being Patron Warrior, as we mentioned, and Patron Warrior is extremely strong, I feel, against this particular lineup.
It's just also yet another deck that performs well versus Paladin.
Exactly,
So there's just, like I said, the key to this for BunnyHoppor is going to be winning with this Paladin. And he's just trying to increase the chances of that happening in terms of lineup. And we did see that Naiman's Mage is going to be around, so that's going to be an interesting one later.
I'm really happy to see the Mage at some point, but the game 1 is ready, and we're going to see Paladin versus Hunter. So both really aggressive decks. And who do you guys think has an advantage in this one?
I think the Hunter definitely has to have the edge. Much like Secret Paladin, which we've seen these Hunter decks just roll over throughout this event so far, the aggro Paladin, it can get on the board a little bit faster, has a little bit more of that early game, but still is vulnerable to the aggressive burn and all the charge minions. It doesn't have cards like Sledge Belcher that some of the Secret Paladin decks saw, and we saw even with Sledge Belcher, those decks just fell behind.
And also, Divine Favor, not the best card versus Face Hunter, as a deck that's not really known for having a large hand for most of the game. So that Divine Favor almost certainly is going to get thrown away from BunnyHoppor, and he will hope it is the bottom card of his deck, no doubt, in this matchup.
Absolutely. And looking at the players' hands, Naiman already having the Leper Gnome, a Wolf Rider for some extra damage, and Unleash the Hounds being overall good in this matchup because of Mastery for Battle and the fact that Paladin wants to have some minions to be able to pressure.
Yeah, Unleash is great in this matchup. Not only is there the Muster for Battle, but just fundamentally, the aggro Paladin deck really plays wide. It plays a bunch of small minions.
Hero power even.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of this deck, is to play out a wide range of minions. And Unleash, in many cases, in some cases, is used to clear those. In this case, I imagine is very likely to go Phase.
Absolutely.
Especially because you can all, in a perfect world for the Hunter as well, they can build up a board, you can play Explosive Trap Unleash, go Face, and then force him to trade into you, and you just gain so much extra damage.
And Haunted Creeper for Naiman here matches up very well against the Leper Gnome on BunnyHoppor's side. I kind of wanted to see just Leper Gnome versus Leper Gnome on turn 1 to set the pace for what's going to happen here. Everyone's feeling real icky, but the Haunted Creeper lines up much better.
Get the real damage.
The two Leper Gnomes just keep hitting Face, and it's just like, who's going to trade?
No, here.
So guys, what do you think about BunnyHoppor's position now? He has the Leper Gnome that will probably go to Face, and the Shielded Mini-Bot. Is that okay opening, or do you hope to have something else?
I mean, this is kind of the draw that you're looking for, is, just minion into minion into minion. It doesn't happen to match up very well against what Naiman has here, that Haunted Creeper clears the 1 health minions and threatens for more. The Creeper's solid because it does answer the same thing from Naiman. It's going to be able to eat those 1/1s, whereas it would just kill the Divine Shield of that mini-bot. But Naiman just has that Owl that he just drew, which clears off the ability of that Creeper to spawn anything else.
Yeah, and what was nice from BunnyHoppor there, I think he chose the Creeper over the Minibot mainly because a Juggler turn 2 would be very rough, whereas the Creeper can't die Creeper on Creeper. And then if it runs into the Leper Gnome, the 2 Juggles aren't really going to do anything to the Haunted Creeper on that side.
Also, in the very beginning of the game, I think the minions are more important than damage to Face. So you can take a couple of points of damage, maybe even go down to 20. But if you're winning on board, you will be in a good position to get that more extra damage till turn 5, and then just finish the game with Burst.
Yeah, it normally works out that around turn 4 is when the Hunter normally wants to hero power every single turn, because you start to being able to drop a 2-drop hero power and then go into 3-drop hero power quite easily. Whereas the early turns, as you quite rightly said, Nimsh, are more about just trying to solidify your board control and then just push on that with the extra burst damage.
Alright, South Deckhand, is this board to cast Unleash the Hounds Brian, or is it not yet?
Well, it would allow Naiman to clear off all of BunnyHoppor's minions. He would still have some left over to go Face. He could potentially take out both of the 2-attack minions. And the thing that's important here is that BunnyHoppor, he needs those minions to win. He doesn't really have those individual big powerful minions like the Mysterious Challenger, the Secret Paladin decks. So he needs to get in these incremental bits of damage with this wider board. I think that we're going to see the Unleash from... Oh, no, he's... Just kidding, just kidding.
Well, he's playing with you.
He might be thinking about Divine Favor. Like we've mentioned, it's not good in this matchup, but there are 4 cards for Naiman, and if there's this Divine Favor being drawn, Abusive Fool's Divine is actually a pretty good card.
Yeah, I think the secondary reason for the Unleash as well is because he's just drawing into Explosive Trap. So they're the 2 cards that will really swing the board either way. And because he has Unleash and he can make a pretty good turn this turn, and then worst case scenario, say Muster and a 1-drop comes out, he can Explosive Trap afterwards.
And this play from Naiman, I think, is one that a lot of people might not make, where he actually keeps his owl going face rather than, he can trade his 2-1 into your 2-2. But he recognizes that his road to victory is through damage, and if BunnyHoppor uses his 2-2 to take a value trade on the 1-1, he's just going to get another hit in with that owl, and that's all he wants from it is more damage.
Absolutely. But still, it's really interesting that both decks are face decks, and we see a lot of minion trading from the very beginning of the game.
Well, the player who's able to establish repeat damage from the minions on board is at a huge advantage in that kind of situation. BunnyHoppor here, he does have that Consecration in his hand, which can potentially give him a pretty big edge if Naiman does end up flooding the board with a bunch of minions.
Yeah, this is interesting now, though, because he could, if he really wanted to, trade into the Creeper, play Explosive Trap, and play Glaive Zuka, but more realistically Hero Power if he chooses to trade. He could just Glaive Zuka, Explosive Trap, and then go face with the minions to, again, push for more damage. But I really like trying to get the Glaive Zuka online this turn, just because you can, again, just use its turn to the next turn after and just keep pushing with that damage.
Explosive Trap is really interesting overall because there are not that many buffs you can get as BunnyHoppor. There is the Keeper of Ulduman that can maybe change 1 minion into 3/3 and protect it, but I think over time, your Hero Power will favor the game where you just wait. But on the other hand, Explosive Trap is one of those tools to just lock Paladin at some point, maybe further in the game, where you are closer to winning.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting there, though. Like the actual sequencing of that, normally you want to Glaive Zuka onto a single minion if you can, so you just guarantee instant damage. And he chose to Glaive Zuka after the Creeper came down. And it's just an interesting play, because he didn't even trade into the mini-bot then to just make his Creeper better than his opponent's.
So why was that, Brian? Can you explain?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to work out why he might attack the 1-1 rather than the 2-1. It's a little bit odd, and I'm trying to process it myself exactly what the motivation behind that might be.
Well, just the Glaive Zuka landing on the Hunter Creeper means that the Hunter Creeper attacking the Hunter Creeper will die as well. So there is another minion with a lot of attack, and if you attack into the Hunter Creeper, you're also creating 2 spiders on board, so you're increasing the damage. But
well, I was actually specifically talking about why he wouldn't attack the mini-bot, why he'd attack the 1-1 rather than the mini-bot, which does open up the Consecration play here for BunnyHoppor since he has the 2-attack minion to attack into it.
All right, so now Naiman, Explosive Trap, not really doing that much. Juggler, though, can work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was interested to see whether he would just Wolf Rider Hero Power, or if he wasn't going to Hero Power this turn, he was definitely going to use Explosive Trap. Because like I said, with this turn, you want to just guarantee as much damage as possible every single turn. If you can play Hero Power, fantastic, but the Explosive Trap just acts like a delayed Hero Power anyway. So
this is tricky, though, because we know it's Explosive Trap, but BunnyHoppor doesn't.
Right.
And I believe Naiman was playing Snake Trap, and Snake Trap with combination with Juggler is so good.
Yeah, this is definitely a spot for BunnyHoppor that's a bit awkward, because the threat of Snake Trap makes attacking into either of Naiman's minions really scary. But if he just tries to test, quote-unquote, by going to face, he's just going to lose the ability to attack and kill that Knife Juggler entirely. Yeah. So this is kind of the squeeze. This is the reason you play these 2 types of traps together. They create this kind of pincher that puts your opponent in a very awkward spot.
So now the big question is, what is lesser evil? Raven, what's better for BunnyHoppor?
I think the testing for explosive is actually better. It's really difficult because you can't leave the juggler on, but if you give the hunter even more minions after you've already used Consecrate, you're never going to get this board. And unlike Hunter, the paladin needs the minions to win, whereas the hunter can just sit in hero power every turn. And it might take a while, but he is going to win eventually.
He makes a good read right there and gets rewarded for it, but Naiman can just start going to face. Even maybe kill the 4-3. Nope. Face.
Why?
Good play.
Yeah, why would you do something as crazy as trade when you can go face with a 3-1?
Important to note, his opponent has a face, and thus that face is being attacked.
and there are no taunts, so it's all good.
Yeah, Face is a good target. The BunnyHoppor knows that there is explosive trap, so he will be hesitant attacking Face himself. That would forces the trade in a way.
Yep.
Yeah, so
sorry, go on. I was just going to say, that trade was good just because of the trap that's down. It'll just force the Shredder to go into... well, now to get just procs either one way or the other, but it just... again, just using this trap to his advantage is insane. Like, and the fact that his opponent knows he's playing dual traps probably doesn't even help BunnyHoppor.
well, let's see what comes out of the Shredder with the Pilot today. Oh, not a good one. I don't know how a Scarab can drive a Shredder, but here it is. And now
Proved you wrong.
Well, it's not the best, but there's a lot of minions, and Naiman only has the quick shot. He will be able to draw a card passively this turn. Yep.
Mad Scientist, quick shot, I'm sure to the face. And he's really looking for either another explosive trap or a Unleash the Hounds at this point. Either of those would represent a huge amount of damage. Kill Command as well. Doesn't have a Beast right now, but that still is pretty scary.
Yeah, I think the key thing as well is BunnyHoppor's low on cards, and as we said earlier, Divine Spirit's not going to help him. Divine Favor, sorry, is not going to help him. And the Paladin can't really just burst for that much damage with 1 or 2 cards. Normally they require the board or some like insane combo, and like Blessing of Kings, maybe a Blessing of Might. But now with 2 damage a turn, he's only on 9. BunnyHoppor's on 9 health.
Well, Coghammer I think is a very good draw here from BunnyHoppor. It does give him a taunt, which can prevent a charge minion from getting guaranteed value here. The key is, though, as you mentioned, the fact that there really isn't much of a clock here from BunnyHoppor. He does have a lot of damage, but Naiman is so high in life that it's going to take him quite a while to actually win the game, and there's so many draws like that Unleash or additional Kill Command that can just end the game on the spot.
I'm pretty sure Naiman is high on life at this moment in time. He's doing pretty well.
By the way, there is also one more added benefit, that small added benefit to the Coghammer, because this means that Mad Scientist will not be able to trade with the 2-1 and maybe bring an explosive trap.
And we have seen just the one explosive trap from Naiman so far. I'm not sure if we have the information as to whether they're a possible second. But this does put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh!
And that
should be enough.
That's
for sure.
Well, he gets 6 from this. Yeah, it's got to be it.
Yeah, it's 7 damage from hero
That's
power.
a lot. Is what it comes down to. You see that smile on BunnyHoppor's face. Okay.
And the main fact there was it engaged Kill Command, so he can Kill Command hero power and just go through quite easily. So what a draw.
Yeah, so Naiman is going to win this first game versus the Paladin, locking his Hunter. What does this mean with regards to the lineups?
Well, I think that this was one of the decks that Naiman had a big edge with. There are pretty much all of his decks, I think, except for perhaps the Warrior, which is banned, that the Face Hunter is pretty strong against. Maybe the Druid is reasonable against it, but it's so strong against that Paladin, so strong against that Warlock.
I still wonder how will Mage do overall. So there's this Torch Mage versus possible Druid, Paladin, or Warlock.
Yeah, I think Naiman's definitely going to want to lock in that Mage and get the Warlock matchup out of those two. I suppose the Paladin's okay. It's just sometimes if the draws are there, the Paladin can move just too fast, and with the Divine Shields and the additional buffs there.
Yeah, the aggressive Paladin deck is better suited to beating the Freeze Mage than a lot of the Secret Paladin decks or mid-range Paladin decks, simply because it puts on pressure faster. So if he does happen to have one of those awkward draws where things don't come together, he can just end the game pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And, well, Naiman is in a very good position right now. We actually spoke to him yesterday, so let's see what he has to say.
That's going to wrap it up. Naiman is our first player into the top 4, getting one step closer to becoming the Winter European Champion.
The people who, of course, supported me on Twitter and like social media, really appreciate this support, and thanks a lot. I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna talk with my family, with my brother, who is my older brother, whom I really love. And he's really giving me inspiration as well as my fiance and the whole family. Well, for the future opponent, I just say that prepare for the battle, and hopefully it's gonna be a good one.
It's so great to have the support of your family, right? When you're playing card games and everybody's rooting for you at home.
Yeah, definitely. We saw just last weekend, Amnesiac with his mom here. Definitely, I had a lot of support from my family growing up playing games, which is pretty unusual for a lot of people. So it's great to see when that sort of support structure is there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good as well that he just recognised that after that day, he was just like, right, I'm just going to collect myself, speak to some family, speak to some friends, and then just prepare like mentally for the next day.
And what do you guys think Naiman is going to select now as his next deck? And does BunnyHoppor stay with the Paladin, or do you change things now?
I think that BunnyHoppor may stick with that Paladin deck. I think that it is probably his... oh, he does choose to switch things up. He's going to play his Druid. And Naiman with that mid-range Paladin deck.
Yeah, and what opening is that? Zombie Chow, Aldor, Quartermaster, and Master for Battle. Do you even keep the Quartermaster? Because it seems really strong
Well,
overall.
given that he has the coin, having the coin with Muster, you can potentially play that Chow turn 1 and then play the Muster on 3. If your opponent doesn't swipe you, coin Quartermaster on 4 can be absolutely devastating against a Druid deck.
Yeah, I think that's the problem though, isn't it? If your opponent does have swipe, then you've just sat with Quartermaster and it might be a bit more difficult to try and work that in the following turns, and you'd much rather have something else. So it's a bit of a tough call. I, for one, always feel like Druid has swipe when he needs it. So I would definitely just instantly no Quartermaster. You stay away till later when I can play them both in the same turn, maybe.
On the other hand, BunnyHoppor actually having the Innervate and Paladin Shredder, you have to keep it versus Paladin, I believe.
I mean, Innervate Shredder against the mid-range Paladin, I think, is substantially weaker because of that Aldor Peacekeeper. I still think it is likely, as we see, BunnyHoppor keeps it, and it's still a strong play, but it is more open to being punished than it is against other versions.
Yeah.
I think as well because it is the Shredder and not something else like the Shade. Then it's Shredder's very sticky anyway. It's going to be dealt with, and then there's still another minion to work with.
I'm actually seeing Naiman did keep his entire hand.
Yeah. So
he's actually on that exact plan of the Muster into coin Quartermaster. It looks like right now he's going to have the turn 2 hero power, turn 3 Muster, turn 4 coin that Quartermaster, and right now BunnyHoppor does not have a swipe.
So what does it tell BunnyHoppor? Like, your opponent is playing mid-range Paladin and he just kept full hand.
It is definitely... it's definitely scary because anytime your opponent doesn't mulligan, you're just like, wait, did I miss it? But if you're intently staring at that hand, like, okay, trying to keep track, which is an important thing to do because it does give information. It's got to be definitely pretty scary to figure out what could be there.
Yeah, and I think in terms of mid-range Paladin specifically, it almost always tells you in this specific matchup that the Paladin can curve really well. Because it's not like in other matchups where, as Warrior, you keep Despite in certain matchups just because it's good, but it doesn't necessarily mean the rest of your hand is going to curve perfectly. You might just have Despite or Patron, but in mid-range Paladin, not really looking for anything too specific against Druid. They just want to curve out and then overwhelm them.
Yeah, we actually see BunnyHoppor choose not to go with that Innervate, and I think from this perspective, given this hand, I definitely like his choice there. If he did just Innervate out that Shredder, especially if it happened to get Peacekeeper, he has no play for several turns.
Absolutely. It shows only that he knows really how to play the Druid. A lot of people who are not experienced with Druid, they would Innervate first to be able to have a minion on board, but then they just struggle with the curve. And here BunnyHoppor will be able to react. But overall, this matchup is good for Naiman. And what does BunnyHoppor need to do to be able to win?
Well, here he still has that Innervate. He can Innervate out one of the 5s. I assume it's going to be this Druid in bear form. That gives him the Shredder on 4, so he still has a pretty strong curve here. Not quite as strong as it could be, but Naiman here, I'm curious if we're going to see if he sticks with that Muster into Quartermaster plan, or does just choose to Aldor this Innervated bear.
Well, it seems like even if he Aldors, those minions still do not contest the bear that much, and the bear keeps to be annoying. If he goes for Master, he has that way that we discussed before.
Yeah, and I think if I'm honest, he manages to pull off the Muster with the coin Quartermaster, it could actually sort of seal the game out pretty early. There's still no direct removal, maybe Force of Nature, but that's still a fair few turns away for the Druid, so that could just overwhelm him.
Oh,
what was that? Forget everything I just said. He just swipes him, never mind.
Yeah, that was the nightmare for Naiman there. Exactly the card he did not want to see. The swipe will clear off his entire board, and I have to imagine BunnyHoppor goes for it at this point.
Yeah, that's absolutely, that will happen, and that's a great play. But on the other hand, even after the swipe, it's still not that bad for Naiman overall, because he can just kill the bear next turn and maybe coin the Belcher.
The thing is that we haven't seen that much of this deck from Naiman. We have not seen Quartermaster yet, so it's possible BunnyHoppor does play it safe, go for the swipe. Doesn't want to get coin Quartermastered, but
it makes sense.
It does, but you could imagine a world in which he's like, oh, I haven't seen this card from his deck yet. I'm not going to necessarily play around it, and does just, oh, I'm going to play a Pilot Shredder.
Yeah, I think the idea there was because he could push for 4 damage with the bear, and then almost certainly guaranteeing additional 4 with the trading next turn. Like, suddenly the Paladin is on 17 and the Druid is untouched in this match. So, and he's slowly edging towards those turns. He can drop Shredder next turn, and then as soon as he lands onto Boom, he's already threatening lethal almost every single turn from the Druid.
Yeah, but still, it seems that Naiman has in a really good spot right now with the Sludge Belcher into Sludge Belcher, and Belcher itself just counters the Shredder next turn. He gets Living Roots. Is it okay to play it just as 1/1s to be able to contest the Belcher?
I think that BunnyHoppor's position here is pretty poor. Particularly given that there's that Lights Justice on the other side. The Shredder and then the Living Roots does not look particularly appealing to me. And then Naiman, he is at pretty high life total here. You know, or rather, Naiman's a pretty low life total. As I say, exactly the opposite of what I mean.
17? What?
Hey, as long as it's not 0, right? It's fine.
So this is still a pretty strong spot for Naiman. Has the second Sludge Belcher, is able to remove those Living Roots, and I'm curious exactly what we'll see. Yeah, he just goes face here.
Yeah, I like that. The minions are going to die anyway, because there's things like Hero Power. Does really the killing the 1/1 worth more than actually trying to deal some damage to BunnyHoppor? Because although Naiman's looking really good at the moment, he still needs to finish the game out.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
that is interesting.
Yeah, can he hit with a knife into the 3/1?
I was wondering whether he was going to Force of Nature then instead.
Yeah,
Just for the additional juggles and potentially clear the 2 bigger parts of each Belcher off.
Right, I was actually thinking about that, but I think that given the game state, the fact that Naiman is down so low, holding on to that Force of Nature in case you draw a Savage Roar is definitely pretty appealing.
Yeah, especially because he has Dr. Boom next turn, or he can even use Keeper of the Grove to owl the Belcher if he feels he needs to, but I'm guessing it is going to be the Dr. Boom next turn.
Yeah, but there is this equality from last turn, and it might work really well versus Dr. Boom and the bombs as well.
Yeah, I think the only issue with the equality is it's the Boom bots are the real threat now, I think. Dr. Boom can be dealt with the Adult Peacekeeper or equality, but if the Boom bots hit face for 2, then Naiman's going to need some healing if that Savage Roar gets top deck.
Speaking of hitting face, Naiman, you saw roll his eyes there as so many of his knives go face when he really needed one of them one more of them to hit a minion. Now he can't clear both of these.
Yeah, so it's really weird because if he attacks with the weapon into the 5/1, that's he drops to 11, and he was already low. But at 11, it's really dangerous versus the Druid because then maybe you don't even need the combo to finish the game. Just like a swipe and Force of Nature and maybe Hero Power.
Ugh, just right in the face. And now, I mean, BunnyHoppor, he has Boom with Knife Juggler, which is not something that comes up all that often in this deck.
What about
well, you know what a
Force
Knife Juggler's in it.
What about Force of Nature as well?
Yeah, Force of Nature is also very attractive here. It can potentially clear out almost the entire board depending on how the knives go.
So which is better, Raven? Would you play Boom or Force of Nature?
It's a real tough one. I think I would probably still lean towards Boom. You're not expecting that much burst from the Paladin, and if already these Boom bots could cause havoc, and if your opponent's going to answer Dr. Boom with anything that isn't really BGH, everything feels a bit harder to deal with. Unless it's, Equality Consecrate. But I just think at this point, Force of Nature is so important that if he draws Savage Roar, the game just ends.
Yeah, I do agree that I think Boom right now is a bit better because of the bombs that you mentioned, Brian. And if the bombs land on face, you can just finish the game with Force of Nature overall and maybe Keeper damage. It's 8 damage to face if you look at it.
And Naiman is just so low that the threat of being able to close out the game with that Savage Roar, I think, is huge. And he does just choose to play the Boom. Where are these knives going to go?
I like the attack first. So 3 knives flying.
All right, they were well distributed. Didn't actually kill anything. So, and Naiman does have this equality if he wants to try and clear this board up.
So equality, and then he can play how many minions? He'll have 5 mana open. He can play Elder Peacekeeper if he chooses to, or just Iron Beam out to maybe silence one of the bombs.
Do you think he has to owl one of the bombs first? Because, equality isn't going to affect the owl that much. And, having the additional minions on board for the other bomb anyway, I don't know. I just feel like a Boom bot to face for 4 suddenly opens you up to a lot more options. Like, you just die to Force of Nature.
It's also kind of scary to use the equality here when you kind of need your board a little bit, and yet he does choose to go with the owl on the Boom bot. And, one Boom bot down.
Oh, that guy took 4 to the face. I got this.
Jumped in front of the bomb right there.
He doesn't have to really equality this board. Like, he can just go for Elder Peacekeeper, but on the other hand, then Boom being a 1/7 is still a bit dangerous.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and save his equality. It looks like he's already in such a bad spot if his opponent does have something like Savage Roar, or rather Savage Roar, that the additional body is not really going to be a terribly big deal, and can save that if his opponent plays something else pretty big.
Well, the idea here is if he has combo, he wins anyway, so why do you need to equality, right?
But the silence effect from the getting the Aldor silence here is actually just going to close out the game.
Nice guys. Yeah, so good.
Wow, all right. So Dr. Boom will connect to face. That's something that a lot of players overlook because you think about silencing only the opposing minions, and then suddenly, well, Dr. Boom can just hit for face.
Yeah, so the silence from the Keeper does close things out for BunnyHoppor, who is able to tie this back up at 1-1.
Okay. So now Druid is out. Was that the deck that was threatening Mage? Not really. We've seen Mage actually winning versus Druid before.
Yeah, I think the faster mage deck that's becoming more popular now, I think it's Laughing's List originally, it just fares much better because it doesn't give the Druid as much time normally. But Druid still does pretty good, right? It's one of the decks you do want against Freeze Mage regardless.
I think that we've seen some kind of anomalous results from some of the Druid versus Freeze Mage matchups so far this event. I do think that the Druid is still favored even against this version of Freeze Mage, but as far as decks for BunnyHoppor to win with, Druid is probably the least threatening for Naiman at that point.
Absolutely. So we are at 1-1 for now, and we got a chance to speak to Naiman about getting a second chance in Hearthstone and a shot at redemption.
I started to play Hearthstone after the World of Warcraft. We started to play World of Warcraft with my friends, with whom we were living in the United States. And after getting back to Kazakhstan, we realized that it's not possible to play it because of the latency. So I started playing Hearthstone, and the problem which I faced is that I was playing only one class. So I've been a hunter player for like a year. I was disenchanting other cards. I was making really innovative and pretty interesting hunter decks for the mid-range hunter. I've met people who were on team Monocost, which is a Russian team. And they're the ones who invited me to join the team. So when I joined the team, players who were on the team finally taught me not to disenchant other cards which don't belong to Hunter, and they also started to teach me to play other classes. So after performing well during my first offline event, which was in England, which is called Gfinity, I finished third, fourth. I got attention from really good teams like Team Dignitas. I was in Team Dignitas for like a week. Then I heard the news about me being banned. I felt really depressed. I thought that I'm gonna retire from Hearthstone. I'm not gonna continue playing. I felt really bad. The reason which kept me motivated and which finally led me for creating a new account was my fiancé. My fiancé is the one who saw the potential, who saw the strengths in me, and as well as the knowledge of the game itself. The conversation with my fiancé, it wasn't more like a dialogue, it was more like a monologue. She was the one who said that I should create a new account, I should keep practicing, keep playing in tournaments, and eventually I'm gonna get to BlizzCon. I made a really huge mistake in my life, and I got punished for that, but I got the second chance, and this is why I'm here.
I've actually met Naiman at Gfinity for the first time, and he was already a great guy right there. I had high hopes for him, and it was really unfortunate to see him disappear from the stage. But now he's back, and he's rolling. He's here in the second semi-final, really close to advancing to the final himself.
Yeah, he was the player who was really the favorite for among many sort of pundits coming into this event, and has not proved them wrong. He made his way through the groups 2-0, and now just needs to get through BunnyHoppor to make it all the way to the final.
I was interested as well because he was actually talking to him before the event. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just super confident. I'll be fine. I'll make it." And it's just like, "Oh okay." And so far he's doing
just
it.
confident,
So it's
just like that.
It's just not often you see like a lot of the super confident players actually, cash in on what they're saying.
Well, if every player is super confident, then one of them's going to make it.
Yeah, that's true.
They have to be confident, right? Because like coming into this kind of tournament, you have to know you're gonna win. If you think about losing, you're just gonna get defeated. At some point, you need to take those risks overall. All right, guys, what do you think those players are going to select for the next match? We have a Paladin and a Warlock open for Bunny, and we have Mage and Paladin for Naiman.
Well, these are the two decks in BunnyHoppor's lineup that Naiman's lineup is really built to beat. He has that mid-range Paladin deck, which really is built to beat these minion-focused decks, as well as we see, Freeze Mage, which again is so strong against minion-focused strategies.
Absolutely. This Torch Mage Raven, can you remind me how this deck works? Because it's a bit different. There's no Antonidas in it.
Yeah, it doesn't really rely on Antonidas like previous versions of Freeze Mage to actually get the win. What it does have, though, is, as we said earlier, some torches that decide to stack up for quite a fair amount of damage over the course of a few turns. So it can be much more direct, and a lot of the time as well, it doesn't really rely on Alexstrasza either. You can actually just have so much burst in your deck, and normally a higher rate of card draw, instant card draw with like Novice Engineer to just cycle through faster and then just go straight to the face.
Yeah, it functions a little less like a control deck and a little more like just a burn you down combo deck. It's just trying to assemble 30 points of damage over the course of the game and just stop you incrementally from killing it along the way.
Absolutely. I think one of the creators of the deck, laughing, he called it a face hunter sometimes. Like you go face with the burn and that's what you do. Because the torch provides so much damage overall.
Well, hashtag torch face or hashtag face torch. Yeah. It's one or the other.
Yeah, and what's really scary when you're playing against this deck is a lot of the time you can't see it coming. Normally, in previous versions of Freeze Mage, it's very, there are some very simple signifiers that say like, okay, he's going to do this, he's going to play Antonidas, and he's clearly got an Ice Lance or two, and then it sets up X amount of turns. Whereas this deck, you can just almost just spam your burn straight to face and just go for it, and it can come out of nowhere sometimes, especially if Emperor Thaurissan comes down.
And the key in this particular matchup is it still has those freeze tools, things like the Frost Novas, the Blizzards, Doomsayers, all those tools that allow you to really shut down what your opponent's doing.
All right, so who do you guys think has an edge here? The aggressive Paladin has Divine Favor, so if the Mage draws too many cards, he will be able to replenish the hand, but who has an edge overall?
The problem with Divine Favor in this matchup is that so many of your cards just don't do very much. You can use Divine Favor and draw, 4 cards, but when your 4 cards are still just Argent Squires and Muster for Battles, those just don't have a high enough impact on the board to actually cause the pace of the game to really change very much.
So would you say Mage has an advantage in this matchup?
Absolutely. I think that Naiman is a pretty big favorite here.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say, I think BunnyHoppor as well, like looking at his actual opening hand, it's probably as good as it was going to get. And most importantly, he does have the Owl, because if he loses the board once, I feel like it's going to be impossible for him to drag it back again. Because as we said in the previous set, or the set before that, that's how he's going to do his damage. He needs those minions to stick on the board.
Yeah, that Ironbeak Owl is probably the most important card, actually, in BunnyHoppor's deck. We do see the Doomsayer in Naiman's hand, and being able to shut down that Doomsayer from being able to clear your board is an enormous factor in this game.
And you can actually play the Doomsayer even without the freezes to stop the early aggression from the Paladin, because if you rule the early game as this Mage, you will have enough time then to play the Blizzards, play the Frost Novas, and maybe burn the Paladin down. So at the moment, do you guys think, like, even though Mage has an advantage, BunnyHoppor still has a chance with this specific hand, right?
Certainly. This is definitely the kind of hand that BunnyHoppor needs in order to win the game.
Yeah, I think that the only maybe one more card he's looking for is a Coghammer as well, because that just makes it a bit more difficult for the Freeze Mage to clear off the minions, and also that is still 6 damage over 3 turns. So it's just pushing for more damage. But other than that, this is pretty much the hand you're going to want.
He would also to find something like Blessing of Kings, just things that improve his clock, because that's what this is about. It's about BunnyHoppor needing to use the admittedly fairly small window that he may be able to get from that Ironbeak Owl to push enough damage to actually win the game, because despite being this aggressive deck, it doesn't have much burst. So if Naiman is able to get to the stage where he's freezing the board and setting up things like his ice blocks, that can make it very difficult for BunnyHoppor to close out the game.
I think this turn overall is pretty good for him, and he is thinking if he wants to overextend or not, but I think it's fine if you play most of the cards because there is no Cone of Cold in this Mage deck. Normally, you have one in Freeze Mages, but not in the Torch. Like, you do cut it.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things he's going to be weighing up. A lot of the time, you do feel good about silencing the first Scientist, because if the ice blocks the bottom card in the deck, you don't want it, getting pulled out straight away, so it's there. So that was it was a good decision, I think. I think it was okay, but I think he's going to get punished for it come next turn when he can play Doomsayer, Frost Nova, and pretty much lock this board down.
Yeah, that was I don't know about that play from BunnyHoppor there with the Owl is so key against the Doomsayer, and Doomsayer is such a key card in this matchup that you are able to prevent them from getting that secret off of the Mad Scientist, but you're walking right into the possibility of Frost Nova Doomsayer on turn 5.
Yeah. why do you think he played it anyway? Maybe he thinks like this matchup is so bad that he just has to hope there is no Doomsayer Frozen Nova?
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable too. I think that he may just be hoping that this gives him an aggressive enough position that he's able to win the game if that combination is not there. But for BunnyHoppor, it's going to be very unfortunate that this is exactly what Naiman has.
Yeah, and to be fair to BunnyHoppor, like look at Naiman's health. He's on 16, and if the freeze wasn't there this turn, and it happens, not all freeze mages have Frost Nova Doomsayer on turn 5 ready to go. But if he didn't have the freeze, then he could push for so much more damage next turn and just close the game out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that owl was there in the hands and just stopping the Doomsayer, it would be devastating for... Well, not really that devastating for Naiman because he still has the Blizzard, but...
Yeah, I think one of the things as well is if he didn't owl the Scientist, maybe the Scientist draws Ice Barrier, so then he's on 8 more health anyway. So, it's difficult. He did get punished with the Frost Nova Doomsayer, but I completely understand BunnyHoppor's play there.
Yeah, sometimes when you're in playing a matchup where you feel like you have a significant disadvantage, sometimes your best option is to take these very high-risk plays and simply hope your opponent doesn't have the answer.
And now the big question is, what can you do now? This is exactly what Naiman wanted. Clear board, not much pressure, Ice Barrier, plus 8 health. So it looks really good for Naiman.
Yeah, the muster here is kind of food for the Acolyte pain. It's the really sad thing for BunnyHoppor here. The Acolyte, Naiman will be able to get those draws off of it without even having to spend his mana on Fire Blast, to be able to use Fire Blast to just protect his life total by killing minions.
Yeah, and even if the Owl come down last turn, Naiman had the follow-up of Blizzard anyway, so he's still got that safety net, which I imagine we might well actually see this turn. Just Blizzard the board all the way back down. You just burnt a muster, and what you don't want to do is give the Paladin the option for these buff cards like Blessing of Kings. Yeah. I mean, for example, he can Blessing of Kings or Coghammer first, then Blessing of Kings the Coghammer target. So suddenly there's a Taunt Divine, well, Taunt won't matter too much, but the Divine Shielded minion hitting really hard.
What do you guys think about attacking with Acolyte into a minion first?
Yeah, I was thinking we might see that from Naiman there. It's possible that he just values the damage simply because he's not necessarily going to be waiting until he Alexstrasza. This Torch Mage deck is much more about assembling 30 damage than necessarily getting to Alexstrasza, then doing 15. So each additional point of damage does matter quite a bit, and it's very likely he'll still find opportunities to get the value from that Acolyte.
Exactly, yeah. The idea is that those minions were going to die regardless because of the Blizzard. So you know what, my Acolyte's going to kill another three like 1/1s over the course of the next few turns.
So here, it might not.
Now he might just die.
Given that there was the Acolyte, and it's just going to clear off the Divine Shield here, so Naiman does end up getting one fewer card from that than if he had attacked a minion last turn.
Let's count the damage quickly. How much damage is possible for the next turn, let's say? If you go for Thalnos, Fireball, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, that's 16 points of damage. That's 26.
I think it's 29 for sure. Sorry, that was BunnyHoppor's life total.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, but I think he might start setting up a kill overall in 2 turns. Is it possible? 16, 26?
I don't think he has quite enough damage. I think it's actually quite short.
Yeah, I think what he might actually do is go for something along the lines of getting the Ice Block locked in maybe, but also that Novice Engineer, because that's why he plays the card. On 8 mana, you do drop a 2-drop, and then get an instant card draw. So if he draws Torch, then maybe his play changes and maybe he does go aggressive then. But I think he'll definitely want to just see what comes off the top first.
Absolutely.
It is a Torch.
And it is a Torch.
And I think that's it, basically, because, well, Lothep can still block if dispels if there's Lothep in the deck, but if you will go for the Torch now, like next turn he can go for Thalnos, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Fireball to the face, and then just seal the game with the Pyroblast. Unless the block is being popped and he has to do something else. But if you would just Torch this turn instead, he will get to 26, and then 16 plus 10?
I'm not doing that kind of maths.
Brian, am I right? Like, I've seen you counting.
I'm trying to math it out here, and I think that would be 29 over the Thalnos turn and the Pyroblast. I think that actually does add
exactly
up.
29.
I think it is in fact 29. It's not for sure, but I think it's 29. Yeah, well, the Fireball plus Frostbolt plus Ice Lance with Thalnos in play. Is
16, so 7 plus 4 from 4.
Math is hard, man.
Is it 16 though? 7 plus 4 is 11, plus 5, 16 damage with Thalnos, and he has exactly 9 mana to cast all those spells.
I think one of the key things here though is with Blessing of Kings, he can actually push for damage and prot the block at least in 2 turns. But whether that's going to be quick enough, we'll find out. And We'll see how Naiman actually chooses to play his turn out. But the Blessed of Kings does go down, gets the juggle. Does he hit the 1-1? Oh, that's unfortunate.
All right, so how much damage is it from BunnyHoppor's side? It's kills the 1-1, so takes 1 more damage.
We've got 10 damage here.
And that's getting suddenly a bit dangerous. Ice Barrier? Well, if you ping the 1-1, 8, 12, 6. Well, now he doesn't have enough damage to kill BunnyHoppor in 2 turns.
Right, yeah, he doesn't have the mana because he did not choose to play the Forgotten Torch last turn, did ping the minion.
So let's have a look. 6, 7. I'm just working out if he can Ice Barrier, Forgotten Torch, ping this turn, and then do the following turns again, like maybe 1 turn a little bit late. But whether the Ice Barrier will actually make enough difference, because that 7/7 is pushing for a lot of damage there, pretty much making that Ice Barrier disappear in 1 hit.
Yeah, I think actually BunnyHoppor can break the block and barrier next turn thanks to Coghammer and the Juggler off of even just his hero power.
Yeah. Well, that'd be 16. So for Naiman right now, it's back to the plan where you just want to deal with the board and draw some cards to prolong this game. Iceland's on a 7/7 protects the block. There's the barrier as well. So yeah, the plan to burn your opponent is gone for the moment, but you can still play the value game.
Yeah, you can still draw Alexstrasza as well, so that changes everything when you've got Pyroblast, Fireball, Frostbolt in hand, and really cool as well. Like he recognise that the game's going to have to continue on longer than maybe he'd originally planned. So he actually spends a lot of his cards as well, which means Divine Favor isn't going to get like super strong value if he chose to hold on to more and maybe like just Ice Lance and then go face.
Naiman is shaking his head, so it seems like he realized that Forgotten Torch would be enough last turn. But to be fair, you are stressed playing at this stage, and when your opponent is at 20, what was it, 28?
29.
29, like
for sure.
Can you really like think, hey, I just have lethal in 2 turns?
Yeah, I think the thing as well is it is quite difficult to look 3 turns ahead in ways of dealing 29 damage over 3 turns. That's not a very straightforward thing to do, especially when you're under so much pressure in a match like this.
Absolutely, but it only shows the power of this Torch Mage deck. How much burst it can offer. Frost Nova is a really nice pickup. It will buy him 1 more turn. He just needs to draw a bit more. Like Alexstrasza is a great option. Is there anything else that you guys can think of to seal this game?
Well, the Frost Nova is a really nice one. If he draws another Doomsayer at this point with that Frost Nova, he may be able to clear off his entire board.
Yeah. Oh, I think as well, like if he draws Alexstrasza.
There's that Doomsayer.
Look at that.
Kibler wins this one. Oh
Yeah.
my god, there's not an answer either.
And it's so good because BunnyHoppor doesn't have any cards in hand. And even if he gets a Divine Favor, it's only 3 cards in Naiman's hand.
Yep, it's definitely going to be rough. I was going to say, if you drew Alexstrasza, he could actually make the commitment to Alexstrasza, his opponent, and then do like Frost Nova, Frostbolt, Fireball the following turn, and then finish with Pyro. But yeah, the Doomsayer feels pretty good as well. Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, so that entire gigantic board is gone. And Mad Scientist is a strong draw for Naiman here. It does represent his next ice block.
We've seen double Ice Barrier already, right? Or have we seen?
I believe it's just the one that was played.
All right,
I think
so
there is. Actually, could be the block as well. Though barrier against this particular deck is actually in many cases better than block.
Yeah,
simply because it represents. They do so much their damage in such small increments. We see BunnyHoppor drawing cards like South Sea Deckhand. He's not going to draw Mysterious Challengers. He's not going to draw Tyrion.
Yeah.
So the increments of damage are so small, and Naiman's ability to actually just kill so many of his minions in his deck with his hero power means that this is a very safe spot for Naiman at this point.
Yeah, I think Naiman's actually on a really, really important turn now. The Scientist's probably going to get dropped along with a ping, but then I only have 3 burst cards in hand that do not add up to 27. Do I just have to use my mana and go for it and just hope I will cycle into more, or do I have to hold on and hold on? Because the problem is, and here we go, he's gone with the Pyroblast, okay.
No,
because
man.
he's decided that he might not draw Alexstrasza for a long, long time, and he might have other ways to finish the game.
Asserting dominance. And there is this Divine Favor, so 3 more cards. Let's see if this is going to be Ardent Squires and Master of Battle, as we mentioned. Consecrations 2 damage. Should a mini bot? Not bad.
Sir Finley.
Oh, wow.
That's an interesting one.
If you get Steady Shot, that will be
Steady
really
Shot
humming.
could be pretty huge.
And also, bear in mind, like you said about the Ice Barrier, against this deck, it's a lot better because a lot of the minions just chip away at the health. But with card like Consecrate, you can actually bypass that if you proc the block low enough.
Absolutely.
Especially if he also gets Steady Shot.
Yeah, Steady Shot on top of that is insane. Let's see what he's going to get. There's no way you don't. Oh, is he weighing up whether he hero powers first, then plays Finley?
Yeah, if he hero powers first, then plays Finley, then he can't use the new hero power. Ooh, armor up.
Would you ever go for armor up?
Armor up. That's totally what he wants here. Because Naiman's deck is looking to assemble a certain total of damage, and that makes that a lot harder.
Yeah.
And also, because of the Pyroblast, Alexstrasza does almost nothing to BunnyHoppor now, but he can still heal up past it with the armor.
Well, Alexstrasza does put Naiman to 15 and puts an 8-8 in play, which would be a big deal.
That is something, I guess.
I think the most important part here is that BunnyHoppor not only puts Naiman in a position where he has to defend himself, but also tries to protect himself at the same time, because overall, Naiman will have enough damage in this deck. I think it has like 52 damage, like 50 true damage across all the spells with the torches, but well, 19 is not easy to go through.
Yeah, the problem is time. Naiman may have a lot of damage in his deck, but because BunnyHoppor has this pressure on him, he doesn't have anything close to the time he needs to assemble it all.
All right, so now what do you do this turn? Do you just slam Torison and get your block pop? Like, I don't think it does that much. Mad Scientist is probably what you have to do.
Yeah, Scientist does represent a ice block or ice barrier at this stage, either of which is very important for Naiman. Though he does just choose to go with the Emperor. This does give him the ability to just play his entire hand in a single turn. He can, if absolutely necessary, play the Scientist and kill it himself, too.
Yeah.
The problem with playing the Scientist that turn actually is he could have killed the he could have attacked him to low enough, then killed the Scientist, and then use Consecrate to actually finish the game afterwards.
Well, Consecrate is enough here to both kill the Torison and pop the block. So a really good move from BunnyHoppor, and Naiman hoped that Torison might maybe survive and deal some extra damage there, but it's going down, and the block will be popped at 1. So we might see the Mad Scientist Frostbolt into Mad Scientist to buy one more turn.
Yeah, what's going to be a real struggle though is, especially with this armor up hero power and the drop of the Shredder, buying yourself one more turn doesn't necessarily mean Naiman can actually do anything about it, because almost no matter what he draws, he's just going to instantly be behind anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't have the power of... Ooh, Blizzard is nice.
Yeah, it does actually stop the board and buy some time.
He does not die with this Blizzard here. He's able to freeze the entire opposing board. He can play that Mad Scientist.
I think you have to go face though. With your spells. Like, you can play Blizzard, Mad Scientist, and still have some mana left. So I think you almost have to just torch Frostbolt.
I think it makes sense. It puts a Forgotten Torch back to your deck that will be able to deal 6 mana. You can still draw into something like Alexstrasza to bring you back to 15. Try to continue freezing the board, but then we've seen one Blizzard already, and we've seen double Frost Nova, I believe. Yeah,
Naiman is really low on ability to continue. No, he does just ping and Blizzard Mad Scientist,
so
and does Frostbolt the face. This protects him from a possible Cog Hammer or Must for Battle killing him.
And second Consecration in the deck? Probably not. I think mostly people play only one.
Leopard Gnome. Oh dear.
So he needs Alexstrasza now, right?
Yeah. He pretty much needs to draw Alexstrasza at this stage. He could draw... he can't even draw oh my god,
that's a huge Alexstrasza.
A huge draw that is huge on the screen, appropriately
Do you appreciate a dragon of that size?
Absolutely. I think all dragons should be that size. It's only appropriate.
I think a second Iceland's was possibly an out as well, to just Iceland's Leopard Gnome and kill the rest of the board. Get something easy to kill from Final Sure, but Alexstrasza is definitely...
That is great. That was pretty much...
Oh, and she was flying and then landed on the board.
I mean, that was pretty much the only card that gave Naiman a good chance of winning this game, right?
This is suddenly a game. Yep. Not only is he back at 15 health, but he has this 8-8 in play.
And the problem is as well, he needs the juggle from the Shredder to kill the Alexstrasza, if that's the route he's taking, because he can't hero power for an additional juggle.
This is really tough for BunnyHoppor.
This game has been absolutely crazy.
Yeah, a roller coaster of emotions. Okay, so if he needs to kill Alexstrasza and just go for the long game. Naiman is just laughing there.
Total wrench in everyone's plans.
New card.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried how long this game will go on for, because it feels like both players are just extending so much.
Well, this is, we see 12 damage in Naiman's hand, but the problem is that Lightwell has to die. He has to kill that Lightwell.
Fireball Lightwell, and then you torch the 3-2 and keep
You can attack into the 3-2 if you want, but yeah, this
probably want to
you
keep
actually
many
may
on the
want to
board.
keep your This is
Yeah.
a very bizarre situation of Freeze Mage perhaps wanting to keep the repeat damage of the Mad
with the
Scientist
minion.
in play.
Yeah, I think you just torch and a Scientist on the 0-5 and then Frostbolt maybe, just the Juggler to get it off the board, and then just go all in on drawing those second, the Roaring Torches
think
for
you
the
want
extra
to-
burst.
I think you want to keep the Frostbolt for second Icelands, I believe. So that's why torch the Juggler and Fireball into the 0-5. 2 damage to face and pink face.
This is the weirdest game I've seen in quite some time. It is awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And I would never believe that this kind of Paladin, such a great chance.
Oh, he's just going face.
Okay.
I suppose he's hoping that, although the light... Oh, he's pinging the light well.
So pinging the light well does mean that it can potentially heal itself, and it does.
It does.
Oh, wow.
So he does counter that. Oh, there's the second consecration.
Well, this is interesting because it does get rid of the repeat damage source.
But it gives him another secret.
But now this Lightwell's in play.
Such a scary mid-scientist.
He just has to ping the light well every single turn and hope for hope for the best.
But there is double
But he's just armoring up every turn. The Paladin with the Lightwell armoring up every turn against Freeze Mage. Has this ever happened before?
Well, and it's aggro Paladin. That's the best thing.
And you have to torch face. Again, ping the Lightwell. This game can go either way still.
This game is awesome.
Lady Liadrin, a Slydrin.
Oh, heals face.
And there's the Shredder.
Shredder's actually really big as well.
So what is the best card for Naiman?
He has another torch in his deck,
Yeah, I think
but that doesn't. There's a fireball, so he's not in
Slowly
range to
grinding.
win the game right now. I think does he have to ping?
the Shredder.
If he pings the Shredder, that lets him draw. It makes it more likely that the Lightwell actually heals something that isn't BunnyHoppor, and does give him the ability to. No, he just pings face.
There would be 6, 8 health.
Heals itself. All right, goes to 8.
Goes to 8, and Frostbolt Icelands is possibly 7, and with the ping it's 8.
Yeah,
That's why
his
ping
Icelands
face.
isn't out, and his Roaring Torch isn't out at this point to win next turn.
Oh man, this is so close. And
He
this
does not have many cards left in his deck.
He has 2 more draws, right?
Iceland,
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Oh,
That's it.
man.
So ping in the face right there. Oh
So David
man.
with the incredible comeback win on the back of that Alex Straza, nearly ripped from his hands by Lightwell, but finishes it off, and you see a grin in his face after that ridiculous game.
Look at him. He's just
It's like, yeah, well.
you could almost say, I'm sorry, BunnyHoppor. Like, that was kind of weird, but I took the win, so sure.
Oh, man.
I think that's the best game we've watched so far.
That was the coolest game this weekend. That was outrageous. I love it.
Incredible, incredible. Armor up and Lightwell from the aggro Paladin trying to survive and out-heal the
You see a
mage.
huge grin on BunnyHoppor's face. He lost that game. He's like, all right, no, that was cool, man.
Yeah,
That was
I
cool.
can give this game to you. It was fine. I had a lot of fun.
Can definitely
Alright.
appreciate crazy games.
Definitely the most fun I've ever had watching Freeze Mage. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now for Naiman, it's Paladin is his last deck. It's the mid-range Paladin. We've seen it before. So how does it fare versus this aggressive Paladin and versus Warlock from BunnyHoppor?
Honestly, I can't really say exactly how it matches up
We
against
don't
aggro
know.
Paladin. Mid-range Paladin versus aggro Paladin is not something that we've seen in a while now. There's certain new cards and dynamics that could certainly change things. It is for sure favored against the Warlock deck. That's the reason that Naiman brought it to this event, and also because it's matchup against the Secret Paladin as well.
Absolutely. And guys, if you want to support BunnyHoppor, use hashtag BunnyHoppor, hashtag Naiman to support your players, and let us know who do you think is going to take it. And Raven, who do you think is going to take it?
It's going to be really tough. I'd have to go with Naiman now because just touching on the mid-range Paladin again, because it has so many early defensive options. It has Creepers, Zombie Chow. The odds on him drawing those are so high against even aggro Paladin. Sometimes it is so fast that it just runs away with the game. But if you can start like that and he has Consecrates, Outdoor Peacekeepers to stop Blessing of Kings, there's so many options to slow this deck down that I think he's going to do pretty well here.
Yeah, I think that this is, while it's not necessarily the deck that he built this to beat, it's the kind of deck he built this to beat.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Another game is starting. 2-1 for Naiman so far. This mid-range Paladin, will it shine? The Paladin Wars.
Well, that Zombie Chow in his opening hand is perhaps the most important card that allows him to pressure his opponent's early minions. And this is just a great hand for Naiman
Oh,
here.
wow, yeah.
The Zombie Chow into the Haunted Creeper, and then the Acolyte of Pain. Again, this is one of those matchups where Acolyte of Pain is fantastic because it not only threatens your opponent's 1-health minions, but also draws you deeper to morph cards.
How important is it to go first or second in this matchup, Raven?
I think the aggressive deck normally always wants to go first, because although you can coin out, say, 2-1 drops, you still just have to follow out on curve, whereas I think because the higher end of the Paladin deck is going to be like more impactful than the higher end of the the higher end of the mid-range Paladin deck is going to be more impactful than the aggro, then you definitely want the coin on the mid-range variant.
Yeah, the fact that you get to attack first is a big deal.
Exactly,
your minions get to attack before your opponent's minions can attack yours. Like here, exactly this. The Leper Gnome's at least going to get an attack to face before it dies, whereas if the Zombie Chow were in play first, it would die immediately.
So are you guys saying like both players are happy? Naiman happy that he got a coin and he's going second, and then BunnyHoppor happy that he's starting?
Well, Naiman's certainly happy because he has a Zombie Chow in play against an aggro deck.
Yeah, that's a great boon, and there is a Haunted Creeper as well with the Pilot Shredder. So looking at Naiman's hand, it looks great, especially versus aggro decks. But what about BunnyHoppor? Did he get what he wanted? Like he got a really good curve as well with Leper Gnome and Shielded Minibot, Master for Battle, possibly Consecration. It doesn't look that bad. Like it seems like both players got what they wanted.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think obviously for BunnyHoppor, he doesn't want to see that Zombie Chow. And the Consecrate, again, is going to be okay versus this board, but not amazing. You probably just want more minions and just really just stack up the board and make Naiman actually have to do some sort of large answer to deal with it.
So now Master for Battle can deal with the Zombie Chow, and Shielded Minibot, I believe, can just go face. There is no reason to increase the damage on board, and it's not like Haunted Creeper can do much, unless you want to play around Juggler.
And I think that this, definitely the play that BunnyHoppor wants to make. And then this Acolyte, though, comes down, and this is a big threat that BunnyHoppor is going to want to deal with, so it doesn't just end up drawing Naiman closer to his cards like Consecration that can just totally seal this game.
He picks up an Owl, which is a great response to this Acolyte of Pain, but is this the time to all, or do you just abuse it and attack it with the 1/1 Raven?
Yeah, it's a tough one as well, because he could also trade and then Consecrate to clear the whole board off. It would give the Acolyte 2 draws, but going back to the Owl, I think you need to save the Owl for something like a Sludge Belcher in this matchup, or a Tyrion, if that's what you're expecting later on. I think just getting through a taunt easily is something that is just vital for BunnyHoppor winning this game.
Yeah, he definitely is really far behind if he does face a big taunt and doesn't have a huge board himself. He could use Abusive to do kind of a similar thing, but I think that he's probably just going to be happy to trade into this Acolyte, giving Naiman just a single card.
All right. He's thinking about Haunted Creeper, so
he might just want to play this Consecration as another option.
Yeah, I think what's good here is if you Haunted Creeper and then trades into the Acolyte with an Abusive 1/1, what this does is it presumes Naiman's Haunted Creeper is actually going to attack in next turn. He's going to go for the Owl.
Oh, yeah, the Owl's the Creeper. Okay, so he doesn't mind giving Naiman the extra cards. He just wants to keep going face as strong as he can.
That was really interesting though, because what I was sort of halfway through saying is he would presume Naiman would actually attack him with his Creeper and then Consecrate next turn, because next turn he can Consecrate and then he has held on to the Abusive Sergeant as well. So that's really interesting that he chose to value the Owl, just locking down the Creeper there.
Yeah, well, the thing is also that Owl actually represents 2 damage on board, and we've seen before that BunnyHoppor is using his Owls pretty aggressively in the early game.
It is true that given the Owl versus Acolyte, as far as what you choose to silence, BunnyHoppor is valuing, and probably rightly so, frankly, his board presence and Naiman's board presence as an ability to react to this far more than the resources that Naiman is actually able to muster. Haha, muster. That wasn't even intentional.
You didn't even let me laugh then, Kibble.
No, I totally unintentional. That's why I unlaughed at myself. But no, and here, if Naiman had that Creeper, it would be able to attack into one of the minions and then potentially threaten the other minions, while the Acolyte simply draws him more resources that BunnyHoppor is hoping to end the game before he has a time to leverage.
Yeah, because to be honest, like BunnyHoppor is the king of the early game, and if Naiman has more cards, he still is limited by the mana crystals every turn.
That's an interesting tweet from IMCVH. This is a Paladin mirror without a single mysterious challenger here in the semifinals.
We've been saved.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's create a new meta game.
Yeah. So the Abusive plus Consecration is going to wipe off Naiman's entire board here.
Okay.
But there is a second Sludge Belcher that Naiman killed off the top there.
Yeah, but BunnyHoppor still has Lothab, which is a really good card as a follow-up. But then, yeah, Sludge Belcher is blocking that damage. Yeah. 15 health, no heals for now for Naiman.
And what's kind of crazy about this is if there's a Divine Favor draw.
Oh,
guys, come on, that was good. I didn't even see the card.
I think it's still correct to play the Lothab.
Yeah, this turn, but what this does is your opponent's on 15. You play Lotheb this turn, continue to push, and then the Divine Favor just almost guarantees you the follow-up. You draw so many cards. Was this the long-term goal with not silencing the Acolyte?
I mean,
did he know it's like Divine Favor is going to come into hand at the perfect moment?
Well, I mean, we don't know if he's playing 1 or 2 Divine Favors.
Yeah.
You know they have Divine Favor in their deck. We haven't seen 2 in a game, but
that's really smart.
Yeah,
overall.
you can rely perhaps on drawing into Divine Favor before your opponent does have an opportunity to dump their entire hand.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
this is working out very well for BunnyHoppor.
I like Lotheb here, and I think you should attack with the 2-1 at least into Belcher. Or do some attacks to maybe play around Consecration a bit. Oh, he's just clearing it.
Yeah, I think clearing is fine, because at the end of the day, even if it makes your overall board, say, a bit more weak because it's just like 1-1s on the board now, but you just have that Lotheb, and that Lotheb is so much damage on its own and difficult to deal with, especially because spells won't be that much of a problem on turn 6 after a Lotheb.
And there is that Consecration, but overall, oh wow.
Some good juggles there.
7 damage incoming. And there is the Divine Favor as well.
There's going to be 4 cards for BunnyHoppor here off this Divine Favor.
4 cards for free mana. That's a good deal.
Not bad, not
Seems
bad.
reasonable.
Better than a prep sprint.
The Creeper, Master for Battle.
There is the second Divine Favor. So as we were saying, the fact that BunnyHoppor has the 2 in his deck makes that sequence of plays he made definitely make a lot more sense.
Absolutely, but the Coghammer is a big card here. Not only it fits the curve, but it can also deal with the Juggler. And if it lands on one of the cards, it will be a taunt, so it can protect this board for now.
Yeah, this is really nice, and I actually wouldn't be surprised, other than killing the Juggler. Oh my god, it went on the Lotheb. That's amazing. Other than killing the Juggler, I wouldn't be too surprised to just actually go all face here. He's got so much damage. He has another Divine Favor because he can probably splurge his hand next turn onto the board as well, so... He's got to pick the Divine Shields off so the mini-bots do die and present again just less onto the board, but he's in such a good position now.
So what can Naiman do?
Well, it's a pretty rough spot for him at this point. He doesn't have anything like an Aldor for that 5/5. He's facing out a lot of damage, just 10 life. He could use his Ironbeak Owl and both of his minions to clear off Lotheb, but that doesn't leave him in a great spot regardless.
Yeah, I think it might be his only option though, because there's what, the 5, 6, there's 8 damage just on board, so I think you have to just clear Lotheb. However bad it feels, you have to use this Ironbeak Owl just to remove the Divine Shield.
It is pretty crazy to play Owl Consecration and attack all your minions, and your opponent ends up having a minion left, and you have just the Owl.
Yeah, the weapon.
Yeah,
have we seen Lay on Hands from Naiman at all?
I don't believe we've seen him draw it, no.
Yeah.
We've seen a heal bot.
We've seen a heal bot.
I think
So
the thing
he has
as
some
well
heals
is
in deck.
because he's playing so many early cards like double Creeper, double Chow, all those early minions, he has to make space for it somewhere, and I think Lay on Hands might well have been one of the cards that was cut from the deck for that.
Well, Naiman decides not to just throw his entire board away and just plays the Shredder here. Another Cockhammer.
Well, it can work. But is there something he can he draw cards and draw into those free remaining damage? Not really.
Well, the problem is he can draw, but it would have to something like Muster, Creeper, draw, but then he can't have any mana left.
He can't really play the card.
So.
And
I mean, he could just, he's at 24 life. He can just go face with Lotheb and the weapon if he chooses, then play
Master?
everything else. He can play. He can play. It depends whether he wants to keep the 2-attack weapon or a 1-attack weapon. He can guarantee a Divine Shield on the Lotheb if he plays Coghammer first.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a weird spot.
I think it's overall a great spot for BunnyHoppor for now.
Oh, well, certainly, yes.
If there is a Tyrion, does it solve the problem that Naiman had? But even though, I want to get back to the Naiman turn, where he could kill Lotheb with the Consecration. I think Pilot the Shredder was a bit better there because he was playing to win, not playing not to lose.
Yeah, I definitely like Naiman's play. As I was discussing how depressing his turn was. We were talking about it earlier. He's definitely putting himself in a better spot going with this route, but not great right now.
There is still that Consecration that maybe can work.
Well, Consecration will potentially allow him to clear through some of this because the Lotheb is behind a Divine Shielded Taunt. Naiman can't actually get through and kill the Lotheb easily. He can attack one of his minions into the Divine Shield, cast the Consecration, then attack the Shredder into the Lotheb, but there'll still be the 2 minions from the Spiders as well.
He could actually use Keeper of Alderman on the Lotheb as well, so it only requires a 2-1 and not the Shredder as well to attack.
That is true.
But it depends how he wants to manage the board, because sometimes Shredder's actually better because it trades and you still get a minion afterwards. So.
Yeah, he's a lot of options here.
All right, so he's going for the keeper to save his minion.
Yeah.
And be able to trade into Lothab, I believe.
Okay, this actually works out very well for him. He can trade the 3/3 into the or no, he does choose to trade the Shredder. He's an Armor Smith.
That's so good.
With these drops.
That's actually pretty huge.
Yeah, it will provide him with extra health, and for now he didn't have anything to do.
He would have been dead. He would have died
he would
if it weren't
just
for
die.
Armor Smith. He would have been dead to that abusive sergeant.
He can still die. There's a demon
can
for
still
2
die.
cards.
We see
that
something
looks
pointing
like
at that.
something. Blessing of Kings.
We see a bit of a
man.
grin on Naiman's face, realizing that he saved himself just briefly with that Armor Smith. But we
Yeah.
are going to be going to Game 5.
Game 5 for those guys, and the last decks for them will be this mid-range Paladin for Naiman and the Warlock for BunnyHoppor. And who has an advantage in that match?
I mean, I think that, again, I have to say that I think Naiman has an edge. This is the matchup that he built this deck for. Those key minions like Zombie Chow, just the ability to get a lot of minion pressure to contain his opponent's minions is exactly what this deck is built for.
Yeah, and I think as well, because we saw a big game hunter, we've seen Aldor Peacekeepers, Keeper of Aldermans. Sea Giants aren't going to be too much of an issue for him either.
I just love the emotions of both players, because this is Game 5, and the winner goes to the final and has a chance to qualify for the World Championship, and the loser is eliminated, and it's so close from that final, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a huge game for both these players, and you know, both of them want to take it down.
Absolutely. So Zoo versus mid-range Paladin, right?
This is like GVG just came out, you know. This is what we were seeing all the time back then.
Absolutely. So what are the key cards for this matchup specifically? There is the Consecration versus Zoo. I think it's really important, but the Zoo can have a really bursty opening with the Flame Imp and the follow-up of Dark Peddler.
I think the early turns, the minions in the early turns are the most important cards. The cards like Zombie Chow. And I actually think that Naiman's early turns are the most important, simply because there's more redundancy for BunnyHoppor. There's more 1-drops that he can play, and the presence of them is not as big a deal as the presence of a card like Zombie Chow.
Absolutely. All right, guys, no more mind games with the deck picks. We are here, last game of this match, and there will be only one winner. So let's talk about those hands here.
Yeah, so the Enhancer Mechano, definitely a sort of style choice for these Zoo players. It can pull out some crazy stuff, but I imagine we're going to see that get thrown away. But the Implosion is going to be pretty important as well, because unless there is a Consecration, Implosion can do a lot of work with just trading for minions and just trading up as well, which is what something Zoo excels at.
Well, Zoo is very good at trading up, but it's not as good at fighting against minions that go wide. And that's exactly what this Paladin deck does. It has a lot of sort of low-cost but resilient minions. And we see the shielded mini-cut. Speaking of low-cost resilient minions, that is the best among them.
Yeah, I think like overall, Naiman got the amazing hand. The shielded mini-bot to start with Knife Juggler and Master for Battle follow-up. He will be dominating in this board. BunnyHoppor picking that Power Overwhelming. That is important because he had nothing to buff those eggs.
Yeah, the eggs were not necessarily what you're looking for in this particular matchup, especially if you don't have ways to actually trigger them. Where BunnyHoppor, that Power Overwhelming will give him the ability to potentially kill the Knife Juggler we know Naiman's going to play next turn.
Yeah, I think the problem as well is that the eggs combined with a Leroy and a Lothar,
Yes.
right? You know, there's just, if they had a Flame Imp, then yeah, sure, they're fine. But this Owl's going to be awesome. Like, it's going to just silence off the egg, and I imagine he's going to trade with it, because a lot of the problems as well is, even though the egg won't spawn a 4/4, the Zoo can still use it with Abusive Sergeant to trade.
And yeah, Naiman recognizing, there's a lot of things that can go wrong if I just play Knife Juggler here. He's playing this to try and ensure that BunnyHoppor doesn't have the opportunity to play cards like that Power Overwhelming to take advantage of them.
Absolutely. Even picking the True Silver Champion, which will be great in the mid-game. And you might want to play Master, but after Master, you will not care about Light Justice that much.
Yeah, and this is, to be honest, all going Naiman's way. He has Muster this turn, but can he? Oh,
Can he just kill it? I can actually play Aldor, I think, unless you really are afraid of the Sea Giants. But if you just kill the egg, play Aldor, and keep pressuring, that's a good
I think the only thing is you have True Silver next turn for the 4/4, so I think you don't need to rush it too much. I kind of like Muster because you want a big board, as you said, Brian. You want to build the board up against Zoo because they have no good ways of dealing with it at all. So you build the board up this turn, and you can True Silver down the egg next turn. He's going for the Peacekeeper. This is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, this does allow Naiman to just continue to push for damage and develop this board. It will leave his Owl open to getting killed by this 1/4 here. I might have played Muster there, but I could definitely see what Naiman is going for.
Absolutely. I mean, it played around Power Overwhelming, and when you see double Nerubian egg, you can't expect Power Overwhelming in the hand.
And Power Overwhelming killing one of his, killing his owl on board, you get a 4/4 that you'd play the True Silver into.
Yeah, I think one of the things that might have lent him towards that line of play was the fact they had Knife Juggler as well. So turn 5, it's like a mini Juggler Unleash the Hounds, right? So it's like he can play Knife Juggler and Muster for battle on turn 5 to actually clear up some of the lower minions. So that might have been the line of play.
Yeah, one big thing with that specifically is that that's a great answer to an opposing implosion.
Yeah.
That Naiman here, he's clearing out his opponent's board and just spreading as wide as he can. Again, playing around those minion into Power Overwhelming buff style starts, and this is looking great for Naiman.
It's looking amazing for Naiman, especially because BunnyHoppor has a lot of reactive cards that Zoo has that require some kind of board, like Gormok, Enhanced Meccano, and Leroy, which normally you do not play Leroy, especially if there's a Juggler on board. A really tough situation for BunnyHoppor.
Yeah, and this highlights one of the main reasons that the community seemed to be very split on Enhanced Meccano. Sometimes you just win with it, you just drop it down on a big board, it's game over, but when you don't have that board in the first place, it's very very lackluster.
But that's actually a great description of every card in BunnyHoppor's hand right
pretty
now.
much. Oh, Gormok.
And this is precisely why this deck that Naiman is playing is very strong in this matchup, because he's able to prevent the Zoo deck from being able to assemble this strong board, and just able to keep those cards just dead in their hand.
And look at this damage. Like, Naiman should have lethal next turn with all those minions and the True Silver Champion and Consecration on top of that. Can BunnyHoppor survive next turn?
He did just draw a taunt. That does something.
That's a thing. I think the problem is...
Wow.
I think the problem is, even if BunnyHoppor survives, I think it doesn't really... All it will delay the inevitable at this point, because Naiman can pretty much ignore a lot of the stuff BunnyHoppor does anyway now, because he's just so far ahead. That True Silver does so much work. He can just tempo heal bot, or get the 2 health, but just add another minion onto the board, just because why not at this point?
Well, he can attack into Lothar and get the health back. It's not even a tempo heal bot, getting value.
Full value trade.
Because that's what's important right now, getting that value.
Yeah.
He just wants to finish the game on full health. That's the trick, isn't it?
The flawless victory.
Yeah.
It's like, who is the Zoo now?
Oh, it's so crazy.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Look at the smirk.
Very good-mannered, greets him right back. Oh, there it is.
Oh, and the knives are going to fly.
Kill Leroy. Oh.
So first knife, the second
will it
knife,
kill
is
Leroy?
it killing
Did he
Leroy?
get him?
And the flawless victory ends with nothing in play.
And Naiman takes it. Naiman's joining Dr. Hippie in the final of the Europe Winter Championship.
We saw these two players meet yesterday. Naiman cannot head there. So it'll be interesting to see just how this rematch unfolds.
Absolutely. That was such a great match.
That was incredible.
It was a crazy set as well, and what I really like about it is both players, win or lose, were clearly enjoying those games. Like, the fact that you just threw the Leroy out at the end and be like, let's just see if the jugglers kill it. That's what I'm going to choose to end this match. I really like that. Both players overall having fun.
Absolutely. And actually, we have Dan waiting with Naiman at the very moment, and I want to hear some things from him. So, Dan, take it away.
All right, our second finalist here at the Europe Winter Championship, it is Naiman from Kazakhstan. Naiman, that series was insane to say the least. Lots of crazy swings back and forth. Walk me through the emotions that you were feeling as there were some crazy ups and downs.
Yeah, like for the whole game, I think like 4 games. In every game there was some sort of RNG and really awkward situations. It was really fun to play, especially against BunnyHoppor.
Yeah, it's great that you can take a step back and just realize that even though there's a lot at stake, there's like some absurd stuff happening and you can really enjoy the game. So that was really awesome. I want to get a temperature reading of your own play. How well do you think you're playing right now going to the finals? And do you think it's good enough to beat Dr. Hippie right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually do so many mistakes, but playing as a freeze mage, I did really, really badly. But in other matchups, I did pretty well.
You're one step away from becoming the Europe champion, the first of its kind for 2016, and achieving all of your goals of not only being the champion, proving you're the best, but also winning for a fiancé. What's going through your head right now as you get ready for the finals?
Well, I'm not really thinking about the game. I just want to start it as soon as possible, and hopefully I'm going to win.
All right, and do you have anything you want to say prior to starting the finals and get ready for the break?
Готовься к бою.
All right, so there it is. The finalist number 2 here is going to be playing Dr. Hippie. It's an all-Eastern European finals. Looking forward to see what's going to happen. Let's head over to the sidebar where TJ, Savitz, and Sato are ready to break down that action of that amazing series.
Thank you very much, Dan. Once again, a big congratulations to Naiman. That was one of the
greatest best-of-5 series that I've seen in a long time. I think Naiman summed it up pretty perfectly in saying that a lot of awkward moments that made for a really fun match. So we're going to get into the analysis in just a second, but in order to properly be able to analyze this first clip that we have, I have to ask you guys a very specific question. Savitz, I'm going to come to you first. What piece of the Druid combo is your favorite? Force of Nature or Savage Roar?
Well, it obviously has to be Savage Roar. Such a great card, such a powerful card. All you need to do is have a couple of minions on the board, and that's 6 damage for 3 mana. Or you can combo it with the Force, but Roar is the key card for sure.
Subtle.
Is there a third option? Is there a gun to my head right now? Do I have to pick one?
These are the only 2 options that you have.
All right, I'm going to go for Force of Nature.
All right, well,
reluctantly.
As thousands of viewers were triggered all at the very same time, we want to get your guys' thoughts at home. What is your favorite piece of the Druid combo? Is it hashtag Force of Nature or hashtag Savage Roar? Make sure you tweet at HCT to get in your vote. And now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the clip that we were getting that ready for as we pull it up. This is from game number 1. This is sort of a cute clip here. A lot of people I know didn't spot this lethal right away. But Savitz, since you were wrong in your choice, I'm going to go ahead and have you break this one down for us here.
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty simple lethal terror. For some of the newer viewers, it's more common to see the Keeper of the Grove being played as a deal 2 damage to your opponent's minion or silence a death rattle minion from your opponent, but it does also work like we saw here. You can silence your own minions when they have debuffs on them to be able to deal more damage with them or get them back to their full potential.
Yeah, just saying, Savage Roar wouldn't have been lethal there. Force of Nature was, so score 1 for Team Force of Nature.
Oh, jeez. I don't even want to be a part of either of those teams. But yeah, Force of Nature or Savage Roar would have been, I think, like 9 damage or something in that situation. So if you voted for Force of Nature, you were in fact correct. Oh, no! There's the poll results there. And it looks like most people favor Savage Roar, which now thousands of triggered viewers are also wrong about their votes. So now they're going to be double triggered. All right, well, let's thank you guys for voting and participating in that fun little poll. But let's take a look at one of the second clip. And this one's a little bit more serious, I suppose. This was a controversial point in the series. And the casters on the desk were struggling to find the correct amount that the burn damage. So, Sottle, I'm going to have to ask you here, because we were talking backstage during this clip, and you were counting aloud very angrily.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion going on here as to how much mana they had, how much damage everything did. So you see the Novice Engineer gets played here, draws the Roaring Torch, but that's not relevant. The maximum play on the following turn with 9 mana is Blood Mage, Fireball, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, which is 4 + 5 + 7, 16 damage, followed by the Pyroblast the following turn, which is 26. So what he could not have done is the 2-turn burnout over 2 turns, but Savitz, you may be able to discuss something a bit longer than that.
Yeah, we're gonna freeze it right here, so you at home can count the exact amount of damage as well. Savitz, why don't you go ahead and break it down a little further?
So that play that the casters also analyzed quite a bit. So if he went for the Roar instead of the being last turn, that would have worked out brilliantly. There would have been 3 + that 26, and there's no True Silver champions in that Acro Paladin. Instead, he's playing 2 Goghammers, so that would have been an amazing play. But what happened for Naiman there is that the rope was already burning when he threw the Forgotten Torch. So at that point, he was, even though it's certainly a math that he could have done if he had more time, he was unable to adjust to react to the draw of the Forgotten Torch to make the play that would have probably been more successful in most of the scenarios.
In the long run, yeah. And that matchup ended up being a crazy matchup, which came down to, light wells and just all sorts of crazy shenanigans at the end there.
Yeah, that matchup was so insane. The Freeze Mage play was so intense that hell actually froze over, and Brian Kibler himself praised a Freeze Mage game for its excitement levels.
Yeah. You know things are a little bit crazy when Brian Kibler actually admits to the entire world that he enjoyed a Freeze Mage game. But once again, thank you guys for joining me to break down that last match. We do have the Grand Finals coming up, but before we have the Grand Finals, we do have a very special announcement. We are going to be revealing the brand new Whispers of the Old God card right after we take a look at the highlights from that last match.